well, their links in any kind of post. They have been cracking down on those, but that is a great place to start for us for today. So welcome to Tech Thursday as we go to our bi-weekly format now, and our first one that may go a little longer than the 30, probably getting somewhere in between that 30, 45 minutes, depending on how the discussion goes today. But we're going to talk about meta ads, which is, if how it's still a fantastic platform to generate what I consider very low cost per lead opportunities. Again, depending on what kind of options you want to run with. But where we're going to start is, in order to do any of this, you must have a Facebook a business account. So you cannot run ads off of any kind of personal account. And then if you ideally, you also would want to link those business pages to an Instagram account too, so you can show up on Instagram as well. So that's where if you don't have a business page, if you want to run any kind of ads, you have to have that. You don't have to be posting to it regularly, but you do have to at least have a business page. So as we dive into meta ads, I always like to start when I'm running any kind of ads or marketing campaigns. The first things that I like to think about, and I would recommend you think about too, are what are your goals with that campaign? What are you trying to get done? And there's a set of questions that I like to go through when I'm targeting a specific ad or getting ready to run an ad. And the great part about this is when you think about these things ahead of time, they will also help you in the ad creation. It'll significantly speed up the amount of time it takes you to run that ad. So the things that I think about when I'm running that ad, the first one is going to be, where am I running this ad? So where, as far as geographically, am I trying to attract people from anywhere in the US? Am I trying to attract people from Canada? Am I trying to specifically target people from the Northeast who may want to move to North Carolina? So where do I want to target that ad? The next question, which is going to have a little less relevance for us in real estate, but if you are doing any kind of advertising outside of real estate, is who. So Meta categorizes real estate advertising as a special ad category. So there are limitations on the targeting that we can do. Obviously, Meta and Facebook and all those social media apps have a ton of information. Unfortunately for us, with real estate, we cannot target all of the geographic and demographic information that they have. So the who isn't super as important for us from a specific targeting capability. However, there are broad targeting capabilities that you can use. And I'll add an asterisk to that. I have moved a lot more towards let Meta and their data do the work for us. So when I was used to run ads, previously, I would try to, even after the special ad category has been created, I would still try to target those broad audiences within Facebook. So within Facebook or Meta, they have still some categories that we'll go into when we go into an ad that are still there. However, I would add that my personal commentary is that let Meta do its work. Let it cook on that kind of stuff. So where, who, how long do you want to run that ad for? I would recommend that any ad that you run on Meta, give it at least a 7-day launch period. It just requires time, and it's going to get better the longer that you can run that. So I was on a call with a Meta rep probably about a month ago because I saw a significant increase in my cost per lead. So I had a one-on-one with them, and he said the longer that you let it run, the more Meta is able to learn who to target and who is reacting and who is engaging with that. So at least 7 days would be my recommendation. And then again, the longer you can let that run for, the better. So who, like you said, not as important. Where, super important. How long is going to be important too. And then how much do you want to spend? There's going to be a couple options that you're going to come to there. You can run it for a specific lifetime. So you can say, hey, I want to spend $200 for the 30 days that I run this ad for. Or you can specifically break it down to say, hey, I want to spend $7 a day for an entire month. So you have those options to either choose how how much. So you need to think about how much you're going to run on this ad. And then finally is what do you want them to do? What is the goal that you want them to do? Are you looking for, adding new followers to an Instagram account? Are you looking to get people to, are you just trying to build your brand? Are you wanting to, for most of us, it's going to be lead generation. So you need to think about that kind of stuff. Again, and my recommendation is the more you can do on the front end and thinking about those 5 questions ahead, it's going to save you a ton of time and frustration on the back end when you're actually creating the ad. So before we move into actually creating an ad and going through that process, what questions, I want to pause there. What questions does anybody have so far? Or commentary or other thoughts? All right, then let's dive into how to actually create an ad. Get this out of here. All right. So in order to get there, you're going to want to, first you need to, again, like I said, you need to have a business page set up. And then once you have the business page and your ad, you're going to need to create an ads manager account. So on the left-hand side, if you're on the desktop version, again, most of the stuff that we do in here is works better, in my opinion, on desktop. So that's what we're going to focus on today. So under See More, we're going to have Ads Manager. I'm going to click on my Ads Manager. And then once you get into your Ads Manager, you're going to see your history of any ads that you've run. But where I want to start our ad setup today is just a breakdown on a few key things that are inside of Meta. And again, Meta evolves and continues to evolve. You may even run into your Ads Manager and it look a little different than this. I know that when I was on the Zoom call with the representative for Meta, his looked even different than mine. So, it may not look exactly like this, but the mechanics are still going to be the same.
Chris, I have a quick question.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it may be a very basic question, but I have like several different Facebook pages. How do I tell which one's actually a business page?
How do you tell which one's a business page?
Yes.
So any of your pages, well, I mean, when I say business page, they all should be, any of your pages should be eligible to run ads. So if you run one for your, so I've got Move South with Chris, that's my page. And that could be, as long as it's not a group, it will work. So if you have you have like a neighborhood group, that won't work to run ads for, but as long as it's a page, it would work. And like I said, it doesn't have to have a ton of other stuff on it. Like I only have 2 likes and 2 followers because I don't push people to this page for any kind of content.
So you can run ads on your personal page?
Not on your personal page. It has to be, well, not on your personal account. It can be.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, it can't be your personal account. So like I have Christopher Cox, even though that is technically it's a personal account, so I can't run ads off of that, even though it is like a professional, what do they call them? A creator account, professional dashboard. So I can't run ads off of that. All right, so I'm going to go into Ads Manager, and where you need to start in here is the understanding of how they have this hierarchy of ad creation in here. So there are 3 different ad creation buckets that you need to think of as a hierarchy. So you have campaigns, and you have ad sets, and you have ads. And you can do different things inside of all of them, and you can get very, very complicated. Or for us, for today, we're going to keep it down just simple. I just want to run an ad. But if you think of the hierarchy, the campaign is like the big picture. So that is ultimately where you're going to set your goal. So that's where when we talked about the what from our questions, that is where you're gonna tell it that what. So the campaigns is that big picture. What is the big picture goal that you're trying to do? The ad set, which is the second level of that hierarchy, that is more the strategy that you want to use for a specific audience. So you can set a campaign that is lead generation. inside of that campaign, you can have multiple ad sets targeting different specific audiences. So, hey, I want to run this campaign that's lead generation, but I want to have different ad sets within that campaign. And then the third level, which is the actual creative, is the ads. So that is the creative message that you're going to deliver to those ad sets and then those campaigns. So the campaign is, again, that's that big picture. The ad set is you can target different specific audiences inside that campaign. And then the ads are going to be the creatives inside each one of those ad sets and campaigns.
Chris, just to make sure I'm understanding, do you, for each ad that you make, you put it inside a campaign that has ad sets? I mean, do you need all three levels
You
going?
don't need to use all three. You need to use all three, but you can do all three in one step. I just like to kind of put that out there as there's more you can do with this if you wanted to. Let's say you wanted to run a campaign that was for a specific property, right? Like, so you have a new listing that you just listed. Your campaign is lead generation for 123 Main Street. Inside the ad set, you could have one ad set that is specifically targeting an audience that is in the mountains, right? So maybe your ad set and your messaging to the people in the mountains is going to be different than an ad set that you're running to people that are, moving from the coast, if you're in, or from out of state. So you can use ad sets to create different messaging for a specific audience.
So
For us,
Chris,
for today,
are they giving you like a drop-down menu that for ad sets? Are they giving you some kind of a drop-down menu that has either, like you said, mountains or beach or demographics?
no, you'd have to create the targeting within each one. Yep. So I like to set the table for that again, because you have to do all three technically, but you can do all in one fluid process. I just like to add that you can, if you want to get more and why I mentioned that is if you want, let's just say your budget is $200 for a campaign and you want to spend half of it in the mountains and half of it in the on the coast, you could create two different ad sets that are within that $100 budget. So it allows you a lot more targeting to specific audiences with the same overarching campaign goal. So once you have that, again, that hierarchy kind of set up in your mind, you're ready to kind of start creating that campaign. So for today's purposes, I am going to what we've talked about, or what in my mind we're going to do is we're going to run an ad that is an open house list. So it's a dynamic list of all the open houses in the area for this upcoming weekend or for forever. It's a landing page that I created on my website that is there. It's evergreen. It's always going to be dynamically updated to the most recent open houses. And then within there, I'm going to target people who, again, because it's an open house, I'm probably not targeting people in the mountains. I'm going to target people who are local to me. So that's the ad that we're going to create for today's session. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create. The first thing that's going to come up is, again, what's the goal? So this is that, thinking those questions, what is the goal that I want it to do? So for me, for this campaign, we're going to do leads. The only other option that you have on this screen is buying type. I'm going to leave that as auction. I'm not going to get into any kind of reservation or anything like that. So leave that as default as auction. And then you can see what kind of, if you hover over each one of these, you can see what they're good for. So traffic, engagement, leads. So you may run between traffic and leads depending on what you want to have done. So if you're just trying to get people to a landing page and have them register there, traffic may be better for you. If you want to use Facebook's instant lead forms, then leads is probably going to be a better option for you. So you can see clicking over, hovering over each one, what they're good for. So for us, let's just say leads for today. You can, if you want to learn more, you can click on About Campaign Objectives, and you can get a little more information. They have streamlined this. There used to be like 40 campaign objectives, and they've kind of just grouped them all together. So again, we're going to use leads for today. I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. And then you're gonna now have, this is a new option. If you've run ad campaigns in the past, this is a newer option for you. You can choose to say, hey, I want to use recommended settings, or I want to set up my manual leads campaign. I would say recommended settings is going to be the best option for many of us. What this is going to do, it's going to streamline the process a little bit more, and it's going to give you what they think are the best answers based on the type of business page you have set up. So I have mine set up as a service business or professional services, or yes, professional services. So it's going to use the recommended settings for a professional services account. I'm going to lead them, put that over to recommended settings, and I'm going to hit continue. So now you can see all these recommended settings. You can see what it did for recommended settings. So these are the things that it automated for me. So it already took 6 things that I would have had to choose out of my process. So it streamlined that part of the process for me. Next thing I'm going to do, so now I'm in the campaign, and I'm going to call this open house list. You then have a few options here. Do I want to distribute my account across ad sets to get more results? That would be, again, something you could use if you wanted to use a different ad set for a different specific audience. I'm going to leave that off for this one. I'm not going to A/B test with this. You can use A/B testing this to run different types of ads to see which one performs better. But what we are going to do is we are going to check this for special ad category. So as I mentioned, we are a specific for housing, we are a special ad category. So you have to go in here and check that off. And then you have to check what country you're in. And then there's a little more information here on why they want you to get that done and why you need to do that. If you do not do this, even if you get your ad approved, it will be shut down within minutes. So you have to make sure that you have that checked off. Because again, they want to make sure that they're not violating any fair housing advertising policies as well, because again, they have all that information and could violate just about every single one of them with your targeting. So they're protecting you in doing that. So once I've done that, I'm going to go to next. So the next thing now we're doing, so now you can see we've switched again seamlessly from campaign, and we're now in our ad set. So you can, again, you can rename these. I'm going to say we're going to call this open house list A. I'm just going to call it that for the purposes of our testing today. So now you got to pause here. So this is going to be going back to the what part of the questions that you asked. What actions do you want them to take? And I'm going to, if you take nothing out of this, I'm going to highly recommend that you use the Facebook instant form whenever possible. And if you choose to do that, you need to make sure that wherever you're sending them to does not also have an automated lead capture on it. So a lot of our websites, especially if you're using Lofty, you have the ability to say, hey, as soon as someone clicks on or visits this page, to capture their information. If you try to capture their information with a form in Facebook and then send them to your page and try to capture their information again there, a lot of people, a super majority of the people are going to just X out and they're going to be gone. You'll have their information from the instant form, but you won't get any more information or keep them on your page. So when you're choosing that, what action do you want them to do ahead of time is, do you want them to use an instant form or do you want them to register on your website? So you have those options here. I'm going to go with instant form for this because it does allow you to add some customization to it. And you'll see that here in a second. But the instant form is, it's going to use, you probably have clicked on something inside of Facebook and you've seen an instant form pop up. What it's going to do is it's going to pull a lot of information from Facebook for that person already. So it does streamline the process, and it allows us to ask some additional qualifying information if we find it relevant for the ad that we are running. So you'll see what's my conversion method there. So don't use, again, don't gatekeep it twice is the big thing from that. You either use a form or a website and not both. So I'm going to choose, if you had multiple pages here, like Tony said, you're going to choose which page you want to run it off of. And then you're going to choose what kind of leads you are looking to get here. So you don't have to mess around with these. I don't know why you would set a maximum number of leads, but I guess you could. The big thing here is going to be your budget and schedule. And the great part about all of these things, as you're building the ad and the ad set, on the right-hand side, you'll be able to see a lot of the creative and a lot of the potential results as soon as you make changes to it. So you can see here, I've got an audience size of 176 million people. Based on the budget that I have in here set up, it's saying, I'm going to reach anywhere from 7,000 to 20,000 people a day, and I can expect 26 to 75 leads potentially per day on that. Those are complete estimates, especially on the, well, I'm on $20 a day, and that might get there. But I like to choose lifetime budget. Like I said there, I'm going to say $200 I want to run this for. And then you can choose your schedule. So like I said here, I recommend at least a 7-day run. Facebook says that, hey, if you can get up to 30 or more, the more information we're going to have, the more we're going to show it to the right relevant. We're going to find out who the engaging audience is for you. So I'm going to leave it. I'm going to say, we'll just say tomorrow. And we're going to run it for a month. So what questions does anybody have so far?
Donna has a question in the chat box.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. She just popped it in.
All right. You can, if Donna, if you have to set up the integration for these to feed into your CRM. So if you are creating leads and you want them to feed into your CRM, most CRMs will connect with Facebook leads. If you were on the Tech Thursday that we did a couple weeks ago, or probably a month ago now, for Zapier, you can also set up a Zapier integration that will pull in your Facebook ad leads as well.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. So then as you're setting your budget and schedule, here is a thing that I like to, especially if I was running an ad like this, right? So I'm running an open house list. Those are most likely going to, in my opinion, in my head, we're going to get more traffic on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? So within Facebook, you can also change the when the ad is seen. So, hey, if I want this ad to be seen just Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I can choose those hours in here. So I can say, hey, I just want this ad to be run again for this time here. Again, I'm just clicking on a bunch of buttons, but you have the option with the scheduling to say, hey, I just want this ad run during these specific days and times. So very powerful, again, to making those type of customizations to your campaign, again, based on what your goals, what kind of ad you're running, those can be powerful to keep your cost per lead down. Because again, if I'm running an open house list and I'm showing it to people at Tuesday at 3 a.m., are they going to even remember that those open houses were there on Saturday? Maybe, maybe not. But you have that ability to customize that there. And I love that option there. So once I have that done, I am going to now create my audience. So you'll see here, because we are a special category, you'll see many of exclusions we can't do. So you can't target men, you can't target women, you can't target ages. So it's 18 to 65, it has to be broad. And then what you can do is you can create some custom audiences based on location. So that's what I am going to do. Again, that's where that where part is from our questions that we were asking ourselves earlier. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to click on edit. And again, it's going to default to the United States. I can get a little more specific. If I hover down a little bit more here, you'll see postal code or zip code selection is unavailable. If you're running something that is not a special housing ad, you can target a specific zip code, or again, for us, for our purposes, we have to do a 15-mile radius. So I'm going to click on Raleigh because, again, this is an open house list. I want people who are most likely who live in the area or are in the area too. Cool part about all of these ads, and I'm actually working with a buyer right now who was driving through Raleigh and saw my ad. They're driving from, I think it was Georgia, back to their house in Maryland, and they were driving through the area and the ad came up and they signed up for my home buyer webinar, and I'm working with them to relocate from Maryland based on, again, they didn't live here. They were just driving through when they saw that ad. So again, 15-mile radius is the minimum there. You cannot go lower than that. You can go up to 50 miles if you wanted to, but I'm going to recommend it to keep it at a 15-mile radius. And again, you could create different ad sets to target different audiences based on their geography. And then the last thing you can do, and this goes to the who part of this. Again, I have moved more towards letting Facebook cook and know who to target for these, but there are detailed targeting that you can still use even with the special ad category of housing. So if I wanted to do that and just to kind of show you the stuff that is in here, I can go ahead and hit edit. So you'll see that for everybody else in the world, they can add demographics and they can even add behaviors. We can't do that, but what we can do is we can browse interests. So we can still target people based on their interests. And with a lot of these, you'll see you can actually get generalized demographic information based on some of their interests. So as an example, you can actually use luxury vehicles as an interest that may target people who are of a higher income. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that, because someone who's making $10,000 a year can still have an interest in luxury vehicles. You know, so again, that's where it's still safe, but you can get a little more defined with your targeting here. Some other ones that are in here, there's a lot of financial services in here. So if, you know, maybe someone who's interested in personal finance may be interested in that luxury home. So you do have some targeting you can do. Again, I've moved more towards let Facebook learn and do a lot of that work for me, but you can target stuff in there. Some other ones that are in there, there is first-time home buyer, first-time buyer grant. So all those options still are there. They're not protected by that, because again, it's just showing, they're just showing an interest in that. It's not specifically saying they are a first-time home buyer. They've just engaged with relevant ads for that interest. So you can do any of that. You can also make this, so anything you add to this list of interest, these are any of if they are interested in any of these things. So let's say I have 5 things in my interest. If this will show to people who are interested in any of these 5 things. But if you wanted to get more specific, saying I want them to be a first-time home buyer, and you can then also narrow your audience. So you can have these as all as ors, and then you can even narrow your audience more and say they are first-time home buyers and they like financial services. What that's going to do, however, is that is going to significantly narrow your audience here. So you can see I am down to an audience of 88,000 to 104,000 people. It's also warning me here, hey, you may get 0 leads based on this targeting that you're doing here. So maybe a little too narrow for what they would like to see. And you can even see the reach here down to 491 a day and 0 leads a day. So all I need to do to fix that is take that out and take that out. And now I'm up to a much broader audience. So that is the second component, and that is the ad campaign. I mean the ad set. I'm going to pause there for a few seconds, see what kind of questions we have before we go into the actual creative.
Chris, I'm just curious because I've run some ads and we're running an ad now for listing and stuff. And I mean, just quality of leads or quality of, I don't know how to say it, but so much stuff seems to just not be anything. It's very frustrating. Like, I'm like,
Yeah, and that's where your instant form can get you a little more information, because if someone's really not interested and they just want to click on pretty pictures, they're not going to fill out any more questions, right? So you'll probably get less leads the more information you put your request on an instant form, but you will get higher quality leads. So that's one thing you can do in there, because again, if someone's answering 6 questions, they want more than just to see the pretty pictures. They're more likely to want more than just seeing the pretty pictures of the house. So that may be a way for you to increase the quality, but it will definitely decrease the quantity. So you have to choose, which one is more important to that ad. All right, so now we're into the actual, again, you can see it just transitioned here. So here again is that hierarchy. So our campaign is open house list. Our ad set is open house list A, and now we're in our ad name. So you can do just one thing and kind of just rename it all the same. You also have the option, if you were going to partner with this, let's say I was partnering with some kind of, I don't even know, co-branding with Tony in Charlotte. We're gonna run this ad together. You can do that here. I'm not gonna mess around with that today. And so now we're into the actual ad creative. So now we're gonna start seeing, you'll see all your variations here on the side. I do recommend, if you can, and Facebook strongly recommends this as well, to potentially have multiple ads in this ad set. And the reason why I say that is this will reduce ad fatigue. And I'm sure we've all seen this, right? You see the same ads showing up and it's the same exact version of it over and over and over, because Facebook is identifying you as a target for that ad. However, when you start seeing the same ad over and over, you just scroll even quicker than you were before. So setting up multiple ads with different creative will also help in your overall campaign results. So what that could mean is I've got one static image for ad number 1. Ad number 2 is a short video, like a 7-second video. Ad number 3 is a carousel of photos for a listing. And what that will do is Facebook will learn who's engaging with which one and make sure to minimize the ad fatigue based on the different creatives that you have. So I would think about doing that again, especially if you're going to run a longer campaign. If it's just for a listing and you're hoping to sell it in 7 days, you're probably not going to deal with ad fatigue with something like that as much. But the longer you run that campaign, there's only so much information that Facebook has. It's gonna try to get it to the same people over and over and over.
So Chris, under partnership ad, could you do something, say, with your title company or your lender for that?
You could definitely do something like that. Yep. And then we'll
just tag them, or
I've never run one that way. So I don't know exactly what it does, Terry, but that's a great idea. Maybe I'll see if I can partner with a lender and do that. All right. So now we're going to, you have some options here under ad setup, but before we actually set up the ad, I want to go down to my instant form. So this is the form that we've talked about in the previous step, as far as what is your lead generation. You can actually create the form. So I am going to go in here and create the form. So you'll see here, just like everything else, there are certain questions you can't ask. So you can't target specific people, and then you can't qualify people in your actual housing form with any discriminatory practices. I'm gonna go ahead and hit continue. And now we're going to build the actual form. So let's just say this is open house form. And what is your goal with this type of form? So this, Diane, goes to kind of what your question was there. So do you want, more volume? Do you want higher intent? You can even go super creative and make them verify the phone number before they even move on. So I think even if you hit that, it's going to tell you, so you'll kind of start seeing what the additional steps are for that. So I'm going to go with higher intent. And then you also have Rich Creative here, is where you can do a little more advertising inside the ad, so to speak. But I'm just going to go with higher intent. Once I do that, you'll see these are the things that we need to get to. I'm going to go to next, and you'll see it building as we go here. I'm going to go with higher intent, and I'm going to click next. What's my headline going to be? Open. So I'm going to have a list of open houses. Sign up for instant access to so have that there. So again, you can see what this is, what the end user is going to see as they click, once they click on that ad. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Now I'm going to start building my questions. So there's a bunch of different options you can have in here. You can create your own, you can create multiple choice. You now can create conditional type of questions on here, but I'm just going to go with multiple choices. Do you live, let's just say, do you rent or own right now? And I'm going to put my answers in there. So now when you'll see this, again, it's building it as we go. You can add questions. Again, the more questions you add to this, it will, the more you add to it, the more complex you make it, the less people are going to fill it out. So you have to decide what your goal is for the ad you're going to run. And then you can add as many questions as you want. And then once you get past that, you can then say, okay, what information do I want to collect from this person? So we're going to say it's going to default probably for most people to email, full name, and phone number. You can make these optional, or you can make them required. So I'm going to say that those are going to be required. And you can see what this ad is going to look like. So that's what they're going to see first. And then they're going to click on that second. And then it's going to review their information. And then the final thing is going to be, what is the message they're going to see when they finish? So you'll see here, you do have to have a link to your privacy policy on here. And then I'll show you where you can find that as well here next. So, and then the final thing is going to be, what is the splash screen that you're going to see on, like when they finish, what is the thing they're going to see there? You can customize this as well. So where I like to pause here on this is, if you call someone, they give you a phone number and it's a good phone number, and they say, oh, I didn't know what I signed up for. You can, in your mind, know that they are full of baloney, because they went through 4 pages before they actually submitted. So they had to click through all of these and then even slide to submit. Just now, that doesn't stop someone from giving someone else's information, but if they don't know what they were clicking on, is probably not a valid excuse for them if they've gone through those many steps. So again, that's why I like that lead form in there. And again, Facebook or Meta themselves even says, if you use a instant form inside of Meta, it's 30% cheaper per cost per lead than sending to your website to register there. So I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, go ahead.
One of the things that I'm running into, and I don't know why, but anyway, I get these leads in Lofty, and you go into, I use FOREWARN to verify name and phone number. And yes, it is a phone number. However, it does not at all belong to the person who is even, showing up as a lead in Lofty. And most of the time the name is wrong, or it's not even in a state that I work in, or I'm finding that,
unfortunately, there's not a ton that you can do on that. I mean, that's just, I can put ABC banana 1 2 3, I can put all that stuff in here, and it's still going to count as a lead. You just your job as the real estate professional is going to be to filter through all of that stuff. However, I will say that, again, if you set up some more work on the front end, you're not even going to get that information if they don't fill it out, right? So the more you can build into here, yes, it will significantly reduce your quantity of leads. Your quality will be much better. And you can counteract that by, you know, again, Meta's favoring of people using these forms. And again, too, yes, they can change it, but a lot of information will pre-fill from their Meta account when they click on this too. So yes, they can override that and put a garbage phone number in there. However, you know, the more safeguarding you can do on the front end, the higher quality you will get with this than just going to your website and doing that. So once I have that all set up,
Yes, sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm just seeing the chat. Sorry, Tammy has a question in the chat, so I didn't know if you
Oh.
saw it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna. So you had to go. I can address that when we go back. I did see that on there. Next thing I want to do is you do have to add your privacy policy to that. So again, Facebook has their privacy policy, but they also need a privacy policy for your page. So if you go to your 99.9% of websites are going to have this if you've used any of the, you know, IDX type websites out there. If you don't know where to find it, if you scroll to the bottom of your website, it is probably going to be right down here. So on almost everybody's, I would be shocked if you find many that don't have it. So if I go to terms of services and privacy policy, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to copy that entire thing. So I just went to that page. So again, this privacy policy was probably auto-populated for you when you signed up for your website. I'm going to go back into my Meta Ads Manager. I'm going to link it here. And then now I'm all set and I'm covered in that. Go to next. This is not liking my questions. Oh. Now the final thing is going to be your what's the ending screen going to look like, and that's going to, you know, it's going to be default here. You can override this and you could say, hey, someone will be in touch with you, whatever you wanted to do. Thanks for signing up. You know, someone will be following up with you here shortly, whatever, again, depending on what your goal was for the lead generation. Now you've got to tell them, okay, what am I going to do once they have this information? Where am I sending them there? Where am I sending them to? So you can either send them to a website, which is for most of us going to be the most common thing that we're going to do. So if I'm doing this for an open house list, I've got this page created. So this is the version of this on my website. So I am going to go and grab that link. I'm going to go back into there and I'm going to say go to website and I'm going to link that to the end of that. So I just pasted that into my link. And now what do I want it to say as my call to action? So I'm going to change this to view open houses now. And then you actually have the option to, if they submit this form, they can also authorize you to send them direct messages on there. I'm not going to mess with that at all because I've already got something on my website and I am going to create form. So now I've got this open house lead form. Great part about forms is you can reuse them. Once you have your questions set up, you can reuse them for different listings, for different, for whatever, again, whatever you want to do, you can reuse the same form. So you don't have to go through a lot of the stuff that we're going through today, you don't have to do every single time. So I got my open house form there. That's what I'm going to use. And then finally, I am going to do my ad creative. Or any questions on that so far? I know we're going a little long here, but hopefully you guys are finding some good value out of this. All right, so now I'm going to set up creative. So again, this is where you may want to set up different ads for different types of creative. So you'll see here, you can only choose image ad or carousel or video ad. So I'm going to choose image ad. and you can pull, it's going to pull in from all of your accounts automatically. So if you already had these listings on your page or anything like that, or you can upload an actual photo or a video. So I'm just going to go to Instagram and let's just pull this photo here. I will pull this one. And next, you now have the option to crop these. I recommend original for all of them because you'll see what it will do is it will dynamically shape that for wherever it's going to go. So you'll see this is what it's going to show up for in feeds. This is how it's going to show up in stories and reels. And this is how it's going to show up in in search results. So if I wanted to replace that, I can go to replace as well. And I'm going to go with that. So now you can even put different images in different places. So if I wanted to, let's go see if I can get something here that is the right size. So it changes that image for just for stories and reels. So it'll show up. This image is going to be in the feeds. This one is how it's going to show up in images in stories and reels. Then I'm gonna go ahead and hit next. Now, you also, the final component here of setting up your ad creative is going to be what is your messaging going to be. So the primary text, that is going to be what is going to show up. That's going to be what's going to show up in your ad itself. The headline is going to be the bold part, and then the description. So the primary text is what, if you're thinking about how you've seen ads before on Facebook, that's what's going to show up before your image or your media. The headline is going to be what's going to show up in bold, and then the description is going to be what's going to show up underneath the headline. So they've also added that you can add multiple options. So you can add up to 5 options for primary text, headline, and description within one ad itself. So I have used ChatGPT to help me create some content for this. So I've got my text here. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that in there. Thinking of buying a home, tour properties in person before you decide. My headline is open houses this weekend near you. And then my description is get instant access to open houses. Now, if I wanted to add other options, I just go ahead and hit this add other option. And if I had option number 2, from starter home to luxury listings. So again, I use ChatGPT to create these for me. I've got explore Raleigh's best open houses. And then I've got
Chris, these other options, are they cycling through? Facebook will cycle them through so it looks different each time.
Yeah, so and it'll do different combinations of them too. So if you hover over any of these, so if you hover over any of the information, most of the time, it's not like me right now. There we go. So add up to 5 options for primary text and headline, and we'll show people the combination that they're most likely to respond to. So again, Meta knows everything about every single one of us. They're going to know what type of text you are most responding to, and so you can add different text and headlines. Your description has to be the same though. You can't have different options there. And then your call to action. I like learn more. And then finally is going to be your enhancements. So Facebook or Meta, I keep calling it that, will automatically do some enhancements for free for you. So again, you'll take that one image and you'll add some depth to it. So I'm going to add the 3D animation. I'm going to translate the text. And then these are some other creatives that they have added to it. So they now have added image animation. They've added potentially music for you. And then they have added some standard enhancements. So you can see what they've done with this as an example. So this is how it would show up on Instagram. It's taken the headline and it's put it up above the image for you. And so it's doing all of that for free for you. You can choose different musics for that as well. I'm going to go ahead and click done. And now you'll start to see what your ad is going to look like. So this is what it's going to look like on a Facebook feed. This is going to do with the overlay on top of it. So it's taken the headline and it's put it into the actual as image as an overlay. It's animated it for you. It's adding music. It's varying aspect ratio. It's doing everything for you. And then it's going to give you all these, you can choose where to place it. Again, I am going to let Facebook cook on that, and it's going to let it show where it wants to do there for you. And then there is a whole bunch of other stuff that it requires probably another hour and a half session of tracking and retargeting and all that kind of stuff that you can do here. But for most of us, if we're advertising a listing as an example, you don't need to do any of that stuff. Just this will get you results, again, varying on what type of information you want to get from them. So before you go ahead and publish it, you just want to check everything, make sure it looks good here on the side. Any error messages or notifications, it's going to click on for you. So I'm not going to show up an ad on paid promotional type ads. So you can see all the different versions of that ad for you, and then you can see what the Facebook form is going to look like, and then what the Instagram form is going to look like. And if I wanted to publish that, I would go ahead and hit publish that. So that is what we have for today.